Omaha Mom Talks, proudly sponsored by Day Ventures Swim School, where giggles and goggles unite. All right, Amy, welcome to Omaha Mom Talks.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have extra time to chat with you.
Yes.
So, Amy, let's just start with a little bit about you, who you are, what you're up to, share with our listeners.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Omaha. I am married and I have 4 boys.
How old are they?
So I have, my oldest is 14 and then 8, 6, and 3. So we've got one kiddo in every age and stage, it seems like.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Is your 14-year-old in high school yet?
He will be in high school this coming year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a big change.
Yeah. And then, so you're born and raised in Omaha, married, 4 boys, and then tell us a little bit about your work.
Yeah. So I am a nurse practitioner. I have been a nurse practitioner for almost 10 years now. And I got my degree in family practice as a nurse practitioner. And then after I worked for a few years, I started Ageless Skin Co. So Ageless Skin Co. is a med spa located here in Omaha, women run. And we just love to make women feel better about themselves.
Yes.
So that's what I get to do now, which is a super fun job.
Yeah. I love it. So I started following you on Instagram. How long have you had Ageless?
6 years.
6 years? Okay.
Yeah, a little over 6 years.
Probably maybe 4-ish years ago. And I was totally drawn to the aesthetic. So I'm a pink girly.
Yes.
And your brand colors are pink and white. Is that right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I started following you on social media. And if you don't follow Ageless, I highly recommend. They make really funny reels and entertaining reels. And I always love seeing what you guys are putting out there on social media.
It's really fun.
Yeah. And so I started following you. And then, so full disclosure to listeners, I get Botox. And I had gotten Botox like before my wedding. So we got married in 2017. And then I like literally got pregnant a month after. So then like had babies. So I hadn't done anything like that, Botox, for a long time during like pregnancy and breastfeeding. Then I started following you on social media and I was like, I'm going to make an appointment. And so I wanted to share with listeners about the first time that I met you. I don't know if you fully remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I go in and we meet for the first time and you were asking me a little bit about my job. And, you know, I'm a mental health therapist in private practice. You had asked like, where's your office? And so I was just described it's on 108th and Old Mill. You're like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that area. And then you're like, wait a minute, when you walk into the building, like, is there like these chairs there? And you're like describing my waiting room. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, I think my financial advisor works in that building. And I was like, you know, laying down, getting ready for the needle. And I was like, who's your financial advisor? You're like, Drew Gutierrez. I'm like, oh my God, that's my husband.
Yes, I know. Small world, right?
And I was like, well, my first thing out of my mouth was like, don't tell him I was here. Because like being a financial advisor, he's also the world's thriftiest man. And he is like, doesn't understand, you know, all the self-care things that I do,
yes,
which is okay. But it was funny because then I like, obviously I tell him everything. So I rushed home and I told him, and he's super confidential about all of his clients, as he should be. And he was like, well, I guess if you're going to do that, I'm glad you went to Ageless.
What a nice supportive husband,
yes,
right?
And now that it's worked out nice because that's where I get all of my like gift cards for Mother's Day, my birthday.
It's an easy little treat for the guys.
It's the best. Yeah. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like it was like serendipity. Like we were meant to meet. And I love chatting with you and connecting with you each time. Like Amy just has a really nice, warm, loving vibe. So I always love chatting with you.
Yes. It's always like, you know, a mini little therapy session.
It is. Yes.
We love
Okay.
that.
So tell me a little bit about your like nursing background and your kind of career aspirations early on.
Sure. So I actually started volunteering at Bergen Hospital when I was like 11 or 12. They had this like teen program where you could go. And so I would go like maybe a night a week and then on Saturday or Sunday for a few hours. And kudos to my mom for getting me involved with that.
That is so cool.
She knew that healthcare was something that interested me. And so I did that for several years. And then I went to high school, college, and started taking prerequisite classes for healthcare. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. I come from a family of dentists, and then my mom's a teacher. So I ended up going to nursing school at Methodist. I got my bachelor's there and then worked for a few years at the hospital. And then I went back and got my doctorate and worked for a few years as a nurse practitioner in the clinic. And then I started Ageless kind of on the side. Okay. So when I first started doing it, I never thought that it would kind of evolve into what it has. I just felt like it was a fun outlet to use creativity. I actually worked in urology before, so I had a lot of older male clients, and it was a way to connect with like younger female clients. Yeah. So that was really fun for me, and also to use my medical background. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got into the aesthetics world. It was kind of a passion, but also a little bit of an accident that it kind of grew.
Yeah. I think it's so
wonderfully.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about starting your business with young kids. So I was doing the math, and so your oldest was like what, 4-ish when you started?
Yeah.
Ageless?
Yes. Maybe like 6, but yes. Yep.
Okay. So tell me just a little bit about how you keep your sanity with 4 kids and starting and running a business.
It's a balance every day. And sometimes things are, more heavily requiring energy than others.
Yes.
But when I first started, I had a full-time job as a nurse practitioner, and I had a few afternoons off a week. So I had 2 afternoons off. And so I would just like see patients during those afternoons. And I'm talking like a patient or 2. I would do Botox parties, and that's kind of how I started to meet people.
Okay.
Other than, my friends and family. And so, honestly, like my husband has been so supportive the whole time. He we always talk about like business and exciting, like that's what we like to talk about when we go on dates and, at night or whatever. And it's just totally like a passion of both of ours. Uh-huh. So he was always super supportive of that. And also like both of our parents live in Omaha. So when we needed extra help, or, we both had to work or things like that, they were there to help us, which is a huge, advantage.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Having support really is so important, right? I think it's really easy to look at families and be like, oh my gosh, how are they doing it? Well, most of them, right, are outsourcing, whether that's paid help, like, daycare, nanny, even, outsourcing home cleaning or things like that. Family members or, extended family that are local and pitching in. And so it is a privilege to have those things, but it definitely does make things run smoother when you have that support.
Yes, absolutely.
So so you're mom of 4, and they are all, your youngest isn't in school yet, right? He's just 3.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So he does go to daycare. So we do have help with that too, which is, and all of my kids have went to daycare. I mean, throughout the years. So that did give me some flexibility. Like if I was working at the hospital, I might have a few hours off, and I could put that towards developing Ageless or social media or reaching out to businesses or, things like that.
So Ageless has 2 locations. Tell us where you guys are located.
So our first location is located on 96th Street between L and Q. And then our second location is out on 168th and Cornhusker. And so that's inside a Beautiful Soul Spa. Okay. So we just have a room out there. And we share the space with a bunch of other entrepreneur gals that are wonderful. So
awesome. Yeah. And I know we kind of talked about your company has grown. So how many employees do you have now? How many gals are working
there's
for you?
4 of us nurse practitioners, and then we have a nurse as well and a front desk gal. And then we have lots of other people that don't work directly for Ageless, but help us out. So we have, people that help with social media, et cetera, et cetera. So
some contracted stuff. Yeah.
It's definitely not all me. So.
But it also is, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in solo private practice, and I have no desire to supervise people. And so tell me how you've learned, or was that something you already had experience, managing staff, being an employer, or what has that process or transition looked like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And totally something that I did not go to school for. I went to school for healthcare, not like management or business or any of those things. Yeah. So that's always been kind of an evolving process. I didn't ever manage people. I mean, other than my little humans in my house. But it's definitely been a fun process that has kind of been evolving. So Haley was our first nurse practitioner. When she started, she was a nurse, and I actually knew Haley back from the hospital.
Okay.
I've known her for quite a long time, and we just kind of stayed connected. And so it naturally, I guess, flowed into her becoming part of Ageless. And, as she furthered her education and she had some more time, then she would work more. And now she's a nurse practitioner, and this is what she does full time. So it's, being the person that kind of runs the behind the scenes things. It's definitely a different role. Yeah. And you're right, does take a different approach and different skill set. So, absolutely. I guess I'm just always learning and think like we have the best team. I very much pride ourselves in having great relationship. I all feel like we have a great work-life balance. Yeah. That's something really important to me. And, just keeping everyone, in the loop and on the same page and really passionate about what we stand for is most important to me.
Yeah. You mentioned work-life balance, and I see in I don't know if you're in any of those mom Facebook groups, and everyone is always like, I want work-life balance, or what companies offer work-life balance. So as an employer, how do you try to prioritize work-life balance for your employees and then obviously yourself?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. I mean, as a working mom, whether you're working outside the home, working in the home, which can we just say that is probably
unpaid
much harder.
Work.
And on Mondays, I'm like, I get a vacation going to work now that, they're back in school. Yeah. So kudos to those moms. It's just an evolving, situation. Yeah. But for at work, when we are seeing patients, we are giving all of our energy. That is something that just happens naturally, I think, when you're really passionate about your job and love what you're doing. Yeah. And so I just let the girls really work whatever hours they want.
Okay.
Now we kind of have it down, but when they first started, it's how many hours do you think you can give? And that can evolve. And sometimes it has, and sometimes it's, maybe less, or we change days or whatever it may be. But I just want all of the girls there to feel like, their family has to be the priority, because that's who they are, as a person.
Yeah. And it's all so consuming when you have littles.
Yes.
Right? And the demands are so high.
Exactly. And I just think that's, asking off for being able to leave early for a kid's game or whatever it may be, or somebody has a doctor's appointment, or someone's family needs help. I just think that, we have to, or I have to, as the person running it, and all of us working together have to just work together to make that happen. And I just never want any of the girls to feel guilty for leaving, or taking a day off or a week off or whatever it may be. Right. That just has to be first. And really, I've taken things from previous employers that maybe worked really great, and I appreciated, or maybe didn't work so great, and it was something that I wish that could be changed.
So you've learned from those experiences.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I've navigated what we have in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so as we're talking about work-life balance, I'm having this memory of a time where I had a Botox appointment with you and you had a family emergency and you texted me like 3 apologies, like rapid fire, because I wasn't near my phone, you know, and you send the first one and then you're like, and I have it too, because I have my own patients where I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then you feel like you kind of have to explain yourself, like this thing happened. And then by the time I got to my phone, I was like, no worries. Like we are not doing brain surgery here. We're doing my treatment for Botox and
not life or death.
Yes. Like please take care of your family needs, do what you need to do. Sending you love. Hope all is okay. Yes. And then, you know, it's not the end of the world. And so I think like as a business owner, it can feel that way. Right. Absolutely. And I don't want to disappoint people and I don't want to not show up for my patients because they're everything to me, but also I'm a human and I have all these responsibilities. How do you feel like you have gotten with setting that work-life balance?
Yeah. So, you know, there was not a lot of balance in the beginning. I did spend a lot of time outside of actually seeing patients, like communicating, and I still run the Instagram and answer all those questions that come in, which some days is only a few and some days is a lot.
Yeah.
But I was like so quick to respond to everything because urgency. I just like felt like I had to, like, you know, I just didn't have, like, I needed to be always available, and people liked that. And so I mean, who doesn't, right?
Yeah, but it is not sustainable.
But it is not sustainable long term, especially as I had more kids and like my kids became more busy and my husband's work demands increased, etc. So the balance kind of I have just had to set more boundaries, really. Mm-hmm. You know, there's certain things that are super important to me, like going to my kids' sports games. That's something they're super passionate about. And so during that time, I'm not responding to people and they can wait like a few hours, you know?
Yes.
So,
just setting those sort of boundaries with yourself and then enforcing them.
Exactly. Which is, you know, as you know, easier said than done. Yeah. So it can be it's just,
it's a work in progress.
Yes, always.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think part of the first, I guess, solution is like noticing what your boundaries are and noticing what your priorities are, right? And figuring out just like, how do I map this out so that I'm not feeling so distressed or feeling so activated, because I don't want to be rushing through everything in life. I want to be able to be present and actually enjoy the baseball game or the dance recital or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
Let's chat a little bit about some of the services that are offered at Ageless Skin Co.
So we started with just offering Botox, but have evolved into many other things.
Yeah.
So we do Botox filler, like lip filler, dermal filler, chemical peels, skin pen with PRP. We do.
I don't know what that is. Tell us.
Okay, so PRP is it's your own blood, and has growth factors. Okay. So as we age, we start to lose like collagen and elastin in our skin.
Yes.
And that makes us have skin that's like a little less plump or a little more crepey, things like that. So we add the PRP to help kind of combat that and improve the results of the skin pen treatment. Skin pen is like microneedling. Okay. So, and then we do PRF, which is another blood product. It's all made of your own blood. We call it PRF Easy Gel. It's we take portions of your blood, spin it, and then we mix it together and then re-inject it.
Wowza.
And I know it's kind of a lot, but it's really not super complicated.
Very mad scientist.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I just love that it uses your own blood, your own blood products to improve skin quality and texture. So we do that. We do.
Are there other skincare like facials or things like that as well?
Yeah, so we do Sculptra. We do, which is like an injectable collagen stimulator. And then we have BBL and Moxie, which are laser treatments.
Okay.
Sometimes, skin or sun damage irregular texture, all of those types of things. And then we also offer medical weight loss and hormonal therapy. So bioidentical hormone replacement.
Yeah. So, and I had did that recently with Haley. I went in and got my labs drawn. So I have an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's.
Yes.
And, anyway, it was very interesting because so she had me, I'll just share, she had me take my labs. This was in January, I think. Yes. And my inflammation marker was like super high. And the majority of people with Hashimoto's are supposed to be gluten-free and dairy-free. And I had like known that, but I just wasn't ready to commit to it. Yes. And so, and then the other thing was my vitamin D was very low, which I was shocked because I take vitamin D and I'm a huge supporter of supplementing with vitamin D, especially for Midwesterners who we have a really long winter with no natural sunlight. And I have very limited training on supplements as a mental health therapist, but what I had always been told is that vitamin D needs magnesium and that they work together. So I thought, like, I'm taking my magnesium, this should be absorbing. And she's like, Haley was like, girlfriend, you need to be taking vitamin K. And I'm like, what? Like, okay. So she helped me find a vitamin that has D and K together so that I didn't have to like, you know, make it more complicated.
Yes.
And then I committed to going dairy free for 3 days. I only lasted 3 days. I like cheese. But I did go gluten free, and I really stuck to it. And then 3 months later, we redid my labs, and after going gluten free, my chronic inflammation was significantly reduced, and I felt it.
Absolutely.
So my inflammation I feel in my joints, so my hands and my feet, I literally feel like 100-year-old woman. It's so painful, and that was gone. And then
so
my vitamin D, I remember she was just like, this, I would pay for that vitamin D score. Like, that is beautiful. And she's like, what are you doing differently? I'm like, I'm doing what you said. I'm taking the D and the K. And so that was like a game changer for me. And for those of you who don't know, vitamin D helps with your energy, your mood,
yes,
all of those things that we want to have throughout the day. So I think that is such a great thing to offer, is running those hormone labs and finding out what's
there's
going
just
on.
So much information that you can gain from that. And like you said, like whether you choose to do anything with it or not, you know, is up to the patient. But sometimes it's like, okay, like that is why, like, I'm feeling this way, you know?
Right. And I will say, yes. And so my testosterone is also a little bit low, and I've never felt like pressured or, you know, told like I have, because the testosterone is not in my budget right now. And so like Haley was like, nah, I get it. Like, you know, your number isn't like crazy low, but like, you know, keep doing these other lifestyle changes. And if you're still feeling like low energy or foggy, then, and you do get to a point where you want to budget that in, like, I'm here, you know?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
It felt like very no pressure, and no judgment of that. I'm like, yeah, I can't justify that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that is like one of the pillars of our brand is, you know, we just never want anyone to feel pressured into doing anything.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you felt that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey friends, this is Jessie. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to give a big thank you to our season 2 sponsor, Diventures Swim School. My kids started weekly swim lessons at Diventures back in February 2025, and honestly, I've been blown away by the growth that I've seen in just a few months. As a water-loving family, water safety is super important to us, and Diventures has given me such peace of mind as a parent. I'm going to share with you just a few of the things that I love the most about Diventures. They offer classes for all ages and stages, starting as young as 2 months all the way up to adults. They have small class sizes with just 4 kids max to 1 adult, so they really do get a lot of that one-on-one support. They have a heated pool, so no battles over getting into cold water. They have flexible class times, which allow for rescheduling when life gets busy or you're going to be out of town. And of course, expert instructors, all certified and truly just amazing with kids. If swim lessons has been on your list, this is your sign. Head on over to diventures.com and find a class that's right for your family. So let's talk a little bit about skin changes that we see as we age, and certainly like with postpartum.
Absolutely. lots of changes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like you have a kid and then you're like, wait, what just happened?
What is the space that
I was like, my lips were nice and juicy, and then I had the baby, and where'd they go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the postpartum changes obviously have to do with hormone shifts, very big hormone shifts, and fluid shifts. So as you know, I'm sure you remember when you were pregnant, you had lots of extra fluid, and that also results in like really hydrated, plump skin, which is
that's that pregnancy glow that we hear about.
And so as that, you know, you have your baby, and then maybe you start nursing, and you know, you lose a ton of fluid. A lot of that weight loss initially postpartum is obviously the baby, but also that extra fluid that comes off. And so I see patients that come in, they're like, I feel like I just like aged 10 years, in the last 3 months, like what happened? So estrogen changes are huge during that time, and that will really kind of wreak havoc on our skin.
Okay.
There are some bad estrogens that we hear about related with cancer, but the good estrogen we really want, and it helps keep everything nice and hydrated. And, you know, as we near menopause, that's kind of what changes along with testosterone. But
and I know for a lot of women, myself included, like I got a lot of, I guess they're like, I call them age spots, but I didn't have them before pregnancy.
Yes.
And I'm a makeup wearer. And so I was like, what are these new spots? And like, are they going to go away? And like they haven't, spoiler alert, they have gone away, and
they're still hanging
my
around.
baby's 4.
Yeah. So melasma is really common, and that's more of like a widespread darkening of your skin that is caused by heat, hormones, and sunlight, UV. So obviously hormones is the big factor of the change there when you're pregnant. So many people get melasma spots or areas on their skin. There are topical creams that you can use, and then also laser treatments. We usually use the Moxie to treat that. Works really well, but that's kind of a more pesky thing, and can come back too if, you know, like as things fluctuate again. Maybe you have another baby, or you, heaven forbid, are pregnant during the summer, so you have the trifecta, all 3 of them. Yeah. And then the age spots, like the little dark brown, probably what you're talking about, is more of like sun damage. So they do tend to come out, like it's probably just the age that you were when you had your kiddos.
Yeah, I was a geriatric pregnancy.
Oh gosh, I didn't mean that. But just like, you know, like in our 30s, it's like that's when some of those sun damage issues kind of
come to surface.
Yes, exactly. So research shows that 80% of sun damage is done before you're 18.
Oh my gosh. We were in the tanning beds.
I know.
Bad.
So bad. So,
but it felt so good.
It did. And I mean, you had to be tan for like prom. I mean, how could you ever go without that? So, yeah, that's kind of how that works. So the BBL is what we use to treat the sunspots, and how that works is it's kind of a light filter that we flash on your face, and then more than once. It's kind of a lengthy procedure, but not painful or anything like that. And then your dark spots get darker, and then they just flake off.
Okay.
And then sunscreen is obviously
I mean, let's just take a moment for that. When I heard you say, you know, the sun damage is done before 17, I know I wasn't raised being told I had to wear sunscreen, or it wasn't even, definitely wasn't encouraged, and I don't even think we owned any.
Well, and you probably didn't burn.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Mexican, and so I have naturally, you know, browner skin.
Yeah.
But like, one of the things that I always tell young women is sunscreen, but put it on your hands.
Yes.
Because
and your neck.
Yes, and your neck. But no one, one day I just looked down and I was like, I have my mom's hands.
Like, when did that happen?
Yeah. And it's like, because I've never in my life put sunscreen on my hands. Like, even when I learned to put sunscreen on my face or other places. So yes, sunscreen is so important. And I am glad that it's like getting its moment and people are learning about it. But gosh, not that I probably have a lot of teens listening, but again, wear your sunscreen as teenagers, make your kids do it if this is kind of catch up to them.
Yeah, I never really burned as a kid either. And so it just like, I was like, well, I don't need it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see this like long-term.
Yeah. We didn't think about skin cancer or sun damage.
Or
we were
wrinkles.
just, yeah.
You know, that was not on the radar.
Not at all.
But that is one thing I tell patients when they're putting everything on their face, that they should go down to their neck and décolleté or their chest kind of, and then whatever's left over, just put it on the top of your hands.
Yes.
Because those are the areas that actually show age a lot more.
Yeah.
Because we do tend to take more care of our faces, and then the neck and chest and hands kind of get a little neglected, but they still get all of that UV exposure.
So for the mom who feels like her face has just aged 10 years out of nowhere, what is a good place that you recommend that maybe someone start? I think that on social media, we see so much about, you know, ice rollers and depuffing eye masks and gua sha, and it can be really overwhelming to somebody who maybe has always like had pretty good skin or felt really good in their skin, and then just all of a sudden it all catches up to them. Where would be a good place to start?
Sure. So first of all, I would tell that person that is totally fine for them to take the first step and make themselves a little bit of a priority.
Yeah.
Many times, you know, someone's in this situation, they've had a few kids, you know, that's when they're priority. So congrats for moving on to the next phase of your life and giving yourself a little bit of love and grace.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, I always start people on a good moisturizer, and it doesn't have to be anything like, of course, like medical grade skincare is my first choice, but it doesn't have to be that. Like it can be.
Oh my gosh, there are so many good drugstore options.
Yes.
And I will say I used to be, so in a different life, I worked at Sephora before I was a mom. And so I was obsessed with all skincare and this was literally a different life ago. So I can't even remember all of the things I knew back then. But it wasn't until TikTok where I started learning about drugstore dupes or options. And I love my drugstore skincare.
And really,
so don't sleep on it.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. And what works for one person, you know, it's not like a one size fits all. So really, you just have to like find something that works well for you. But a good moisturizer, a good sunscreen, retinol is awesome. That increases cellular turnover. It was first FDA approved for acne, but then we found that it gives you like nice glowy skin and decreases your fine lines and wrinkles. So hooray, we get to use it for anti-aging.
And is that just prescription, or can folks find that at the drugstore also?
Sure. So you can get it over the counter. It is less potent. And a lot of times it's actually cheaper to get the retinol as a prescription. It's just much more. Yes. Or even cash pay. It's like $40. It's not super expensive.
Yeah.
And like it lasts forever.
Okay.
So it's probably going to expire before you even use
I
it
have
all.
so many that are expired. I need to toss them, but it's like.
But I always offer that, I mean, to all of our patients. So if you're listening and you're a patient and you want retinol, just let me know at your next visit.
Okay.
And then Botox. Honestly, Botox there's no cream or anything, you know, that you can get. No facial treatment that you can get that does what Botox does. Botox just inhibits muscle movement, and with muscle movement comes, you know, repetitive muscle movement comes fine lines and wrinkles. And so a lot of times patients will say after they get, you know, their Botox for the first time, they're like, oh my gosh, I just feel like my eyes don't look so tired. And that to me is like so empowering to give someone like the look of how they actually feel.
Yes. Yes. Well, so I want to chat a little bit about this conversation of, you know, confidence versus vanity.
Sure.
So I think that one of the things that I always say is I'm the only person that looks in the mirror at me every day. And I'm the only person that, you know if I like it or if I don't like it. And that's between me and me.
Absolutely.
And so like for example, I am I have so much gray hair and I don't like it. I have naturally black hair and then I have a ton of gray. And there are women who are rocking their grays and going full gray and they look amazing and they look beautiful and they're confident and they love it. I don't like that look for myself. So I dye my hair, right? That's because that's between me and me when I look in the mirror and I know what I like and what I don't like.
And what makes you feel the best.
Yes. And so I think that caring about how you look for some people and for women and especially moms, we're given this message of that's vain or that's selfish or like that's not a priority. And I just really want all people to know that caring about how you look just makes you human. And it's not always obviously about the outside or the trends or following. It's just looking in the mirror and it's like, oh, I feel like myself, or I feel like this matches my energy and what I'm feeling inside.
Yeah. I even think about, if you get ready for the day, you do your hair, you wear something that's not sweatpants or like athleisure.
Yes.
And like just how you carry yourself. It's completely different than if you're just like rolled out of bed and like walk into the grocery store, right?
Yes.
So to put a little bit of energy, effort, your budget into you feeling like the best version of yourself is like not something that should be shameful at all.
Right.
And I know I hear it a lot. Like my husband doesn't think I need this.
Yeah.
But your point, of I always just say, but it's not like them that looks at themselves. You get to decide that because it's you.
Right. Right. Well, and I do. So, and I know this for myself as well. And I know that other moms feel this, that there's this guilt in investing in yourself financially. Right.
Absolutely.
So even just, as simple as drugstore or over the counter, creams and moisturizers to the larger, skincare investments, that guilt is so common. What do you say to those moms who are experiencing that guilt?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's hard, and it's totally understandable. I think that I just think it's important to take care of yourself. You spend, 23 hours a day taking care of other people. That's not typically yourself, or doing things for other people, and to just carve out a little bit of time, energy for yourself is really needed. I mean, us moms need to recharge just like we help our children recharge.
Yeah.
And no one's really helping us do that. So if it's something that you think is going to make you feel better about yourself or about, just your overall being, I think that is totally acceptable and not to be downplayed.
Yeah. And we definitely, I know for myself, I feel a shift when I am feeling good, right? And I also want to make it clear that when I'm talking about prioritizing yourself, I'm not saying like it has to be Botox or it has to be some expensive chemical peel.
Sure.
It can be as simple as, taking 10 minutes of quiet time or
going on a walk.
Yes. Or getting in, time with a friend, connection. You deserve to feel like you are taking time for you and connecting with yourself to feel like I'm filling my cup. And that can give us so much more energy. That can give us so much more patience. It can make us feel just like rebalanced, recentered, like I'm myself again.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And so it doesn't have to be some big extreme investment in yourself. You get to decide like based on
what your priorities are, where
your situational needs. Yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
With that, I know that social media, we have so much pressure and comparison, especially in beauty and wellness, and like trends are crazy. I feel like at my age that I am now, I have lived through so many beauty trends. Like I think of eyebrows specifically, like when I was in high school, it was like we plucked the ish out of our brows, which I'm still living through because they never grew back. Yeah, I'm recovering. And then we went to like the big bushy brows, right? Like brows are always changing. Beauty trends are always changing. How do you kind of help your patients stay grounded in what's best for them rather than chasing trends?
Absolutely. So, that is like my goal. So when I started doing this, I looked kind of at other people that were doing the same thing, and it just seemed like many of the injectors, and it's totally, everyone has their own goals and like what they are looking for and all of that. So it's, everyone has
no
entitled
shade
to their own
people.
opinion. But for me, I'm like a no makeup girl.
Yeah.
I want to look like as natural as possible, and really be like effortless.
Yeah.
Versus like daily have to do things.
Right.
So, I find that I have attracted like very similar
like-minded
people, to our practice, and just keeping everyone like, everyone's anatomy is different. So let's say someone wants their lips done. I can't like do the exact same thing that, to you that I would do to someone else.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah. I can't come in with a picture and say, I totally want this.
We get that, and I try, but like sometimes it's like that just doesn't work for you. So really just like highlighting the strengths of each person's anatomy and structure, and what they love about themselves is most important to me, while still keeping everything natural. Like when you were talking about the brows, I was thinking of lips.
Okay.
So like when I first started injecting, like huge lips, Kylie Jenner lips were like the thing.
Okay.
Everyone like
bigger the better.
Yes.
Was the vibe.
Yes, always. And as I've, the practice has evolved and people have changed, like now it's like, okay, let's dissolve all of the lips that are huge and like start over in a more tasteful way.
I'm seeing that so much on social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, it's a balance. Like every person has to do what's best for them and what fits their body themselves, and really not get too caught up in like what's the latest trend, because it's your face and that's like a big deal. So we don't want to be doing something just because like, Susie down the street is doing it.
Right.
And
Just
we want to
because
look like
see
Susie
it on social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really just to go back to what I was saying earlier is like when you look in the mirror, you get to decide like, what do I like, what I see, or there are ways that I could take care of my skin a little bit better, to whatever degree you want to. I think that one of the most radical things that you can do for yourself is just taking care of yourself in a way that feels authentic to you. And that's not going to be the same for everyone. So even just as simple as like, there's luckily a lot of talk out there about self-care for moms, but I think sometimes the messaging is like self-care has to be like get your nails done, or it has to be massages, but maybe you don't like massages, so don't get them. Or maybe you don't like bubble baths or getting your nails, so don't do those things, right? Like you get to decide like what feels good for me. How can I take care of me in a way that truly feels good to me? And that's such an individual thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also changes as, your seasons of life change.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do love that there's an emphasis on like the clean girl look, or like, easy, quick, no makeup looks. I think like I really came from an era of like full glam, full face, and
but you're so good at doing that.
But thank you. Yeah. I love that
like
you said
I
that.
wish that I could do makeup.
I will say I forgot how to do makeup after I became a mom. Like I look at pictures because I used to work at Sephora and I learned from all of these wonderful makeup artists. And then I had babies and just, didn't have time and energy, and your makeup products do expire. So I do recommend throwing them away. They have an expiration date on them that says like, throw away after 12 months of opening it or whatever. But I have a season of like, even my husband was like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you, but those eyebrows looked a little wonky. And I'm like, I literally forgot how to do them. But it was also like probably one-handed, like with a baby in my arms.
It's probably crying.
Yes.
And you're trying to get out the door.
Yes. So I think, I love that on social media. I'm always following videos on like, a quick mom routine, whether it be skincare, makeup, but even like looking at you, right? Like your skin is beautiful, but it looks like your skin.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's the goal, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like throw on some tinted moisturizer and move on out the door.
Yeah. I love that.
And some people, like to your point, some people love to put on makeup and like do the whole thing. And I just like, I'm not good at it. And so I would rather like stay at the gym for 15 more minutes.
Yes.
That makes me feel better to start the day and wear no makeup than like do the whole thing.
I agree. And I think that is what I've always been, like I love makeup, but there are other things that I don't love. So my friends and I always ask this question, like when you're getting ready in the morning, what's your first, second, and third thing you do? So you have your hair, your makeup, and your outfit. So what would be your order?
Well, can we say like skincare / makeup?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't always do my hair. It air dries pretty like fine. And a lot of times I end up putting it in a ponytail just because of what I'm
job
doing.
that you do. You're looking down at folks.
Yes. So hair is like a
non-important.
But I always do like 10 different moisturizers, I feel like, every day. And then I get dressed.
Yeah. Okay.
Like right out of the shower.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first thing that I will always prioritize is my skincare and my makeup because that's what I love to do. And so, and that takes me the longest. So I'm going to stack it up front because
it has to get done.
Yes, for me. And then my hair, I don't really care about. Like I can put it in a claw clip. So that's last for me. And then the middle is the outfit. And so I think it's funny because everyone is like, I have other friends that are like, oh, I'm always going to do my hair first because that's what I'm spending the most time on. I want it to look really nice. They have all of their products. I don't do all the hair products. I'm pretty basic. And so it's just always interesting to me, but just an example of how you get to prioritize like what feels good to you and how you want to take care of yourself in a way that's real.
Also, I like wear scrubs every day. So it's like, what pink ones are we going to put together?
I love your pink scrubs. Everyone there is in pink. I love that. Well, tell me a little bit about your favorite part of your job.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of touched on this in the beginning, but I mean, I do love the, medicine piece and treating people. That's like super fun and cool, and especially filler. I love to see the transformation. You can do so much with it, but my absolute favorite part of my job is talking with my patients.
Yeah.
I have a pretty loyal client base, and so I get to see people back like regularly.
Yes.
And just to like see all of the changes that people go through over the course of their life. I had a patient in yesterday, and like she, you just see like she was dating some guy and then she broke up with the guy. And then now like the old guy she never even thinks about. And she's like, this new guy's great. And they're just moving in together. And it's just like so fun to celebrate those milestones.
You're on those journey with them.
Yes. Yeah. And like, I mean, it is like sometimes it does turn into like a therapy session, and I feel like I hear things that like probably not a lot of other people hear.
Yeah, a lot of private.
I get to find out a lot of times the first person, that someone's pregnant because then they can't get Botox and they have to cancel their appointment. So that's so fun. And then seeing those new babies come in, like, oh my gosh, just so sweet. But
that's one of the parts I love about my job.
The relationship building is probably my favorite. And ultimately, like when I went to nursing school, because that's like what I did to get to this point. I did it because I like to care for people. I like to take care of them. I like to make them feel good. I want to make them feel comfortable in a time that may not be the most comfortable or great or whatever time in their life.
Yeah. Where they're not feeling like themselves and they've been through some changes. Yeah. Well, I love hearing you say that because, from my humble opinion, the relationship piece is like your genius zone. Like I feel like you've built your company because of just the person that you are. Like obviously you have a good skill set in the services that you offer, but you are just really warm, really relatable, really easy to build a connection with. And so I know I felt that with you. And not everybody has that. Like I would almost like to teach a class on that someday because even therapists in the community struggle with that sometimes. And there's a lot of professions, right? But like you just have it.
And so do you. Like
thank you.
I mean, you're very relatable. And I do feel that I've picked some people that work at our office that are also that way.
Yes.
You know, I want everyone, it doesn't, you know, we share patients and whatnot. I want everyone to feel that when they come to
They're
see
well
us.
taken care
Yes.
of. Yeah.
You know,
it's an
physically
enjoyable.
and emotionally.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Amy, I've enjoyed connecting with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your
Yes.
wisdom with all of our listeners.
Thank you for having me.
Where can folks connect or learn more about you and Ageless?
Absolutely. So on Instagram, it's Ageless Skin Co. and then agelessskinco.com. Those would probably be the best places to find us.
Yeah, perfect. And definitely give Ageless a follow. Like I said earlier, you guys have super fun social media presence. I love following you guys.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, moms, if you have been feeling a little blah or maybe feeling like you want to invest a little bit of time in yourself, take this as your sign. Know that it's okay to take space and feel good in your skin again. Go check out Amy and her team at Ageless. We'll link everything in the show notes. And until next time, take care of you. Thanks.
Omaha Mom Talks. Real moms, authentic conversations, no filter needed.